Good morning, everybody. Another episode of the Keep Going podcast, Athlete Shining Light on Mental Health. I got Nick DeMaria in the building. Nick, what's going on, man?
How we doing, Pat? Good to see you, man.
It's really good to see you, man. And it was great connecting with you a couple months back at Me Too We. Obviously, if you haven't checked out Me Too We, Zach Gale and those boys, it's been a ride for them. So check out Me Too We. But Nick, I gotta ask you something I didn't ask you when I saw you in person. How did you start going to Me Too We meetings, and talk to me about what that's meant to you, man?
Yeah, so Zach Gale, who runs it over there, I actually back in I want to say 2020, I saw him lifting at Crunch in Schaumburg. And I
Yeah.
was just like, there's something about this guy. He's here. I used to go at 5 a.m. He would be there sharp. And I'd be like, first of all, it takes a special kind of human being every single day to go at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But to see his efforts and the way he lifts, and I had to talk to him. I had to. So one day I went up to him and we got to conversating, and then we started lifting every day. And then I had actually moved to Wisconsin in 2021. And then after I came back, he started this up, and he was like, "Yeah, you should come check it out." And I was like, "This is great. What an
Yeah.
idea!" Because uh, a solid, safe place for young men to talk about what they're going through and their feelings is like I really didn't know anything of it, so I went there and it was amazing. He shines a positive light on just what I said, young men trying to be positive and talk about what they're going through.
Completely agree. And I think Zach, and shout out Gail, he's been on a couple episodes here. So everybody knows Zach. I think he's a guy that you're drawn to, right? You're someone that he makes it very comfortable to have these conversations. I think that's why he's so great and like the great dad he is, right? So it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Nick, I do want to talk about obviously the preface of our podcast is sports and mental health. Obviously, if you've played sports in Elk Grove Village in the exceptional community, you know Dima, you know Nick DeMaria. Talk about sports, man. Talk about how you kind of started playing them coming up.
Yeah, so I grew up on the other side of 53. We were Elk Grove's a big um, city. But my dad put me in a lot of sports when I was younger. I played soccer, quickly grew out of that, and then I played basketball. Was very mediocre at that, but all the boys played it.
Right.
I played baseball, was mediocre at that. All my boys played for the Full Time Travelers. Spanky and all those guys, Ronaldo, Rabondo, all those guys.
Some dogs, though. Hey, if you shout the boys out, those guys are some dogs.
Yeah, you had to be real good to make that team. But so I
Yeah.
wasn't too upset about that, being on the part-time Travelers or anything like that. But yeah, and then I played hockey, and that's just something I stuck with. That was my go-to. I was terrible at first. I used to play at Audubon back in the day, and I couldn't skate. And shout out to my dad for sitting through so many years of me being just awful.
Yeah.
But and now being a father and like seeing how much effort he would go to work and then take me to practice every single day, never miss a game, take me on weekend tournaments. It's crazy to it's full circle because you appreciate it so much more now. But yeah, I was a hockey fanatic. That's what I lived and died hockey. It was in my blood.
Yeah, man. And you're a heck of a hockey player. And I know you're a modest guy. When you were playing hockey, man, was there a coach or a teammate that like really inspired you? Like, who was your guy on the ice, or was it just you out there competing?
So actually, my mom used to manage Hat Trick Hockey. It's a roller rink in Palatine, and I used to go there. So, like for example, on Take Your Child to Work Day, I got to go play hockey. So, like I was not born into it because I grew into it, but once it was in my blood, I was around it all the time. Like I would just go there and watch guys play. I played in 4 different leagues. I played up 2 different age groups. I was sleeping, and breathing hockey. So it was just the best time. I remember like after Friday night leagues, my mom would be bartending and she would keep the rink open for me and the boys to play until like 3 a.m. while our dads just drank at the bar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I laugh, man, about those days at Audubon and all that, because I was really close with Nick Zach. He was one of my good growing up, and he used to be like, "You have to watch this Dema kid play," and I'd be like, "Dude, I don't really know who this guy is, but I keep hearing about this dude in hockey." So it's funny. 10 years later, we get to talk about this and have this kind of podcast setting. I do got to ask you about someone though on the mental health side. Did you feel like some of those things were tougher, like having the expectations, having the standards, having this chip on your shoulder to be great?
Not so much when I was a younger, like 9, 10, 11, 12. When it got to be like these tournaments got a little bit more serious and I was playing with 18-year-olds.
Right.
It was always fun. I have like performance anxiety, right? Which drives me to perform well in scenarios like that. But at times, to be the go-to guy in a lot of those situations at a younger age was tough, but it was something that my dad instilled in me when I was younger, that you work for everything you get, and he taught me that at a very, very young age. Nothing in life is given to you; you earn everything. And I still, to this day, walk around with that mentality.
Yeah, I think that makes you the man that you are. Obviously, being a family man now, and just we're not just playing hockey anymore, man. This is real life stuff, professional stuff. Talk about now, man. Like I mentioned, no more
Yes.
hockey. You're in the professional world. Talk about that performance anxiety, some of the stuff you deal with now.
Yeah, man. It's gotten a lot more serious, right? We're not just playing hockey anymore, but right now I'm an account operations manager for a pretty huge logistics company, and you're talking about a lot of money being at stake, being in charge of a lot of forecasting and stuff like that. So, to be honest with you, it's at times it's very stressful, especially now having a kid, because you want to make sure that your work life balance is on point, because that's something I really struggle at, because I have such a work mentality that you just always want to make sure you're growing and continue to grow, that I have to make sure I'm also present here with my wife and my daughter, because honestly, that's the most important thing to me. What is it all for if you're not doing it for them?
Yeah, that's an amazing perspective. And I think we have a lot of players and coaches and parents, especially that are listening. Anything special you do for those ladies? Like, what do you do to kind of get away from that work overload and really focus on them?
Yeah, just being present, right? I it's not about, for me, it's just like living the life you talk about, right? It's just like, helping my wife, like when I get home, take care of the baby, because it's a full-time job. Like she's crawling and trying to walk now, like, and just understanding that, um, wherever she needs the help, and she might not always ask for it, but developing our marriage and our relationship is kind of just doing those things without her asking, right? Knowing what the vibe is and what she needs, And for my daughter, it's just showing up for her every single day. Like there is nothing that I would miss or wouldn't do for them. And luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have a job that understands that, right? I was put in a position where I got to really grow and learn, and they see my work ethic, so they know like family and work. But like if all my stuff is always done, and then I can do what I want, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, I love how your face changed when you started talking about your family, man.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing, and that's the definition of authenticity and what you're doing, man. I do have to ask you, the preface of our podcast, right? Shining a light on mental health and talking about the keep going moments. What's your keep going moment, man? Like, when did this get to the point where you didn't know if you were going to get back up from this, and somehow we're sitting here today?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of them, to be honest with you, but you know, recently when we moved back in December, um, I relapsed because I struggle with addiction, and it was one of the scariest moments for me, because my wife, my now wife, we were engaged at the time, and it was something that she knew about because on our first date we had talked about it. I laid everything out. I didn't want any secrets to want to come up later, and I was 4 years sober at the time. And then I relapsed because the last year was so crazy, right? So she moved up to Wisconsin, then we moved back. I proposed, she got pregnant. We had a wedding shower, a baby shower. I had to get a new job back home in Illinois. There's just a lot going on, which is not an excuse, by the way, not an excuse, but my headspace was not where it needed to be. And um, this New Year's was I was in the hospital, and it was really, there was no ultimatums. My wife didn't say you have to do this or else, um, and I was just there and on New Year's, cold, lonely, in a dark hospital bed, and I missed my daughter's first New Year's. And I just wasn't where I needed to be at all, and I just asked God. I said, please, just whatever you do, I'm not going to give up, but please don't let her give up on me. And after that, I went to 30-day treatment, and thank God for this woman. We got married 10 days after I got out of treatment. So she stuck with me. And that night on New Year's was my, like, okay, I got to keep going, not only for me now, but for my daughter and my wife. And for her to put that much trust in me to still follow through with this after I put her through this so close to the wedding is just like, how could you not just want to ride till you die for this person?
Yeah. I think I talked about it at Me Too We. You have that sit down moment, the keep going moment where you sit there and you're like, she's still rocking with me.
Yeah.
And it's, I think the power of a woman like that, and your daughter will be just like that because the parenting that you have, I don't know. I think there's something really beautiful about understand this life is hard, man.
Yeah.
Like we go through a lot of stuff, and sitting in that room at Me Too We and hearing your story for the first time, because I've heard the whispers. We live in Elk Grove, man. There's not a lot of things that people don't know.
That's right.
But when you sit there and you hear someone's perspective and you hear someone, you'd be surprised, Nick, of how many people texted me this week and were like, "You're having Nick on." Seriously, you'd be really surprised. People I haven't talked to in a long time. My point is, people care about you, man. And not only that, but when you have a love from a woman like that in a family that's your motivator, that's your keep going. I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Expand on that if you like. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's, this goes back to childhood. My example of love was my parents. They've been married since they were 18 years old. Like, I grew up watching that, and that's what I strived for and wanted, right? And when I found that, and I had the opportunity almost slipped through the cracks because of something I did. That's not something that I could really swallow. But the fact that she stuck with me before we were even married shows like how could this not, be the partner of my dreams? Like, and that's just not saying that people forgive you for your mistakes and they love you so much, but that's just her believing in me and seeing my potential and just continuing to want to grow our marriage and me as a father. So her support means everything in the world to me.
No, I can't wait for her to listen to this, man. That's going to be fantastic. Nothing she doesn't know, but it's amazing to hear you talk about it, man. All right. Well, usually I have my co-host David Mitchell with me. He's traveling today. He's not here. I usually have him rip off some questions. Instead, I got to come up with the questions today because it's just me and you on here. I'm going to give you 5 questions. Answer them to the best of your ability, and we'll get you back to your Sunday, all right?
You got it.
Yes, sir. Well, I saw a hot button topic. I saw Jonathan Taze is coming back, playing for the Jets. Talk about how we feel about him not wearing the Blackhawks sweater next season.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this because he's a nice guy, but he should have stayed retired. I know, not a lot of details emerge about why he was off, but I know he was having problems. But I was under the impression that him and Patrick Kane were going to die Blackhawks. So
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I agree with that. It's hard watching Kane and other jerseys, other sweaters. And I'm gonna feel the same way about Taze next year.
Well, I mean, Kane in a Red Wings jersey just still doesn't sit right with my stomach.
No, sickening, man. Sickening. I agree with you, man. All right. Second thing, favorite Elk Grove food spot. Go.
Ooh, you know, there's a lot, but I'm gonna have to go with Big Sammy's. Big
Oh,
Sammy's
what's your
classic
go-to at
spot.
Sammy's, man? Okay, what's your
Yeah.
go-to?
The go-to is the double hot dog meal.
Yeah,
You had to. Back in the day, that was like for $4.52 or something. Like you could get 2 hot dogs, a fries, and a drink. Like
dude.
couldn't.
Agreed. I think I saw it on a sign the other day, that same combo for like $9. I almost shit my pants, man. I almost shit my pants. I couldn't believe that. Nope, I'm with you, man. Sammy's is king there. All right. Favorite teammate, any sport. Tell me which one it is.
Oh man. I think I would have to go with Jake Pritchard.
Yeah, bro. Jake was a savage. Lacrosse too, right? Played at Beloit.
The lacrosse, he played football, he played hockey. He was a beast. And the Pritchard family kind of took me in, and his dad was our high school coach. And oh man, that guy was like one of the most athletic kids I've ever seen. And he was just such a great teammate, like on and off the ice, right? He was a great example for people, and still is. But me and him just clicked. Like everything we did when we played hockey, we did together. We make all stars, and like I'm pretty sure it's still out there, but we did set the point record in Illinois in one season. But you'd have to fact check me on that.
I'll fact check you, and I'll definitely make sure Pritchard gets a copy of this because he's going to love that shout out. And obviously, I have known that family for a long time. Great people. So shout them out. We love that. All right. Next here. What do you want to be remembered for, man?
That's a good question, man. Just for being a good human being, right? So like I love how you said that a lot of people you haven't talked to texted you about this. And I think I'm a great example of how people can grow and learn and not be the same person that they always were. Like, I was a rascal as a kid, man. I liked to cause a lot of trouble, a lot of commotion. I wasn't a fan favorite with parents, that's for sure. And I would doubt a lot of people would see me where I am right now today if they saw me when I was in 7th or 8th grade. So just being a good person, man, and just knowing that, you can't take anything with you when you go, but people remember how you treated them, no matter who it is. So just always trying to make people smile, being a good father, a good husband, a good sibling, and a good son. Just all those things.
Yeah, you're not that same guy you were back then, man.
No.
Not even close. I knew that guy. and you always had the good in you, man. We were just, me included.
Yeah.
And some other stuff, man.
Yeah.
And that's all right. I think I would never change anything. There's been some tough times. There's been some things where I've looked back and I'm like, wow, I really treated that person terribly, or I really put my life and other people's lives in dangers on countless occasions.
Yeah.
But I think it led to kind of where we're at now in our 30s moving forward. So, no, blessings for that, man. I love
100%.
It. Yeah. Got one more. This is a good one. I know, one, this is going to make a lot of impact today, first and foremost. But two, I want your daughter to be able to listen to this 10 years from now and look back at her dad. So anything that you'd like to say to your daughter as she grows up here, man?
Oh, man, honey. Just kind of rolling off what I said before, be good to people. Live life on life's terms, but surround yourself with great people. Love hard. Be teachable. Just to your core, always be a good person. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know whose life you could change. You never know how one instance could make somebody's day and change the path of their day or life. And just No, I love you more than anything in the entire world, Capri.
Nick DeMaria, man, this has been an absolute, just a roller coaster of emotions for me. I was crying at one point. I love who you are. I loved who you were back then, but I love to see you grow into the person you've always wanted to be, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Always, man. Well, I will get you back to your Sunday. Above all else, man, keep going. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, Pat. Love you,
Yes,
man.
sir. Love you too, brother.